Welcome to this European Roundtable on Information and Public Participation in the field of radioactive waste management. It is the traditional roundtable organized on the issue of Aarhus Convention and nuclear from, let's say, 2008, and it happens occasionally with a period of 1 year or 2 years. My name is Nadja Zeleznik. I'm coming from Slovenia. I am, for all my complete career, I am involved in radioactive waste management and nuclear. So I was working for different organizations, and currently I work for the technical support organization in Slovenia. So I will be brief because we have a lot of things on our agenda, and we'll try just to give you a few information of Nuclear Transparency Watch, which was launched in 2013 after a call from the members of the EU Parliament from different political parties for a watch on nuclear transparency after the accident in Fukushima. So NTW was formed and is a European network of citizens watch on nuclear transparency and safety. Our organization carries out public interest advocacy and supports civil society participation in the development of nuclear regulation. Our mission is to promote transparency and safety in nuclear matters, to raise awareness among policymakers and European society about transparency and nuclear issue in order to increase safety, to carry out the voice of civil society in decision-making process in EU regarding the nuclear activities and improve the quality of decision-making, and develop a counter expertise on nuclear safety at the local, national, and EU level. As I said, Aarhus Convention is among the most important regarding the rights of the public with relation to the environment, including the nuclear and radioactive waste management. It provides a right to access to information on public decision impacting the environment, a right to participate in the environmental decision-making, and right to access to justice. The Aarhus Convention and nuclear participatory process was started in 2008 by the EU Commission, therefore Director General for Energy, together with the Nuclear Transparency Watch. And the aim was to investigate the implementation and practice of the Aarhus Convention in the context of nuclear activities. All the way until now, the Aarhus Convention and nuclear roundtables involved various partners from national authorities, technical support organizations, operators of nuclear activities, civil society organizations, together with concerned international organizations. And the last one, which was devoted specifically to rad waste management, was held in 2010. So, in fact, 10 years after, we have another one. In this period, the European context with relation to the public participation in the field of rad waste management has changed. Namely, there was a waste directive adopted in 2011 on rad waste management and spent fuel management, which requires also the information and public participation in decision-making in the context. Also, the EC developed 2 reports which assess the implementation of the directive, one in 2017 and the second one in 2019, with the overview of the situation and also the findings with recommendation for the improvement. There was also a study on the request of EC developed on the practical implementation of these transparency provisions It is called BEPR study, and we will have also the presentation on the outcomes of this study. In addition, civil society access to expertise was pointed out as one of the major issues which should be improved. And in fact, there was a lot of activities on this. Several Euratom R&D projects were performed. Just to mention few, CITEX2, dealing with the technical support organization and safety function, including the civil society activities for the RAD-based management, JOPRAD, which provided the funds for the BRIC program, European Joint Research Program on the RAD-based management, in which also the new model is introduced on the interaction between civil society and main RAD-based management stakeholders in R&D activities. So the objective of this roundtable are to review the implementation of the Aarhus Convention in the area of RAD-based management at EU level, in particular along the implementation of the Waste Directive, especially for the provision on transparency and on public access to research and expertise. Therefore, our agenda, which was developed together with the EC representatives, is the following. Today, we will focus on two sessions. One will be the implementation of the information in public participation provision of the RAD-Waste Directive. It will be chaired by Mrs. Zuzana Petrovichova from the DG Energy, followed by the plenary discussion. There we will have a short break, and we will start the second session on national findings on recent public engagement process along RAD-based management, chaired by Mr. Jan Haverkamp from NTW, also Greenpeace and WISE. And we will look at different national contexts. Like today, we will discuss the German and UK. And we hope to finish the day at 6 p.m. I hope that all of us will stay with this event. The second day, tomorrow, we will start a little bit earlier and continue with the second session, dealing with the roundtable on the situation in France, Czech, and Sweden, followed by the discussion. The third session, tomorrow, will be focused on the recent development in civil society access to expertise and research, will be chaired by Domenico Rossetti, also from the EC, from the DG RTD. And the last day will be devoted to continue with the third session, and we'll finish with the final roundtable, which will be focused on improving existing arrangements on information and public participation in the RAD-based management in Europe. It will be chaired by Mr. Gilles Riard-de-Buey from NTW. So we will conclude the meeting at 5 p.m. We hope we will stay. It is going to be very intensive 3 days, and I really hope that we will learn a lot, and we will also bring out very good recommendations. Thank you for this. And now I will pass the word to Mr. Massimo Garribba, whom I would like to thank very much to be so active together with NTW in organizing also and supporting to organize also this Aarhus Convention and nuclear throughout the years. Massimo, please.
Thank you, Nadia. Good afternoon to everybody. And let me start by saying Happy New Year. I would have much preferred to be with you in let me say, more usual format than being over Zoom. But I think that we have to make do, and it's important that we continue this joint work with NTW on transparency matters, especially on the issue of management of spent fuel and radioactive waste. But before we move directly on this topic, and I will say a few words on that, I think it is important to take note of the fact that last October, the European Commission has tabled a proposal for a regulation amending the current provision of access to information, public participation in decision-making, and access to justice in environmental matters. So this is now a matter which rests with the Council and the Parliament to look at, but of course it is a series of amendments that aim at improving the possibility to request that the EU institution review acts that affect the environment. So it is in favor of openness, accountability, and as I said before, contribute to greater transparency in that. So I think that this is an important fact that, and I think we need to follow together, even though, you know, we from DG ENER are not in the driving seat here, but it is important that we all together follow up the development of the interinstitutional discussion. Let me move to another convention, the Joint Convention on Safety of Spent Fuel Management and the Safety of the Radioactive Waste Management, to which, as you know, both the Euratom community and all our member states are contracting party. In 2020, the Commission has prepared the report that has to go to the 3-yearly review meeting. The meeting was scheduled to take place in May 2021. Well, let's see if it actually takes place in the current environment. We'll see what happens on that. But I think our report is available, and you can look and comment on it. When I look at the agenda of this roundtable, I note that you're going to focus on transparency issues and participation in decision making on the issue of nuclear waste. And this is one very important thing that always needs to be kept in mind as a background to this debate. Our member states, as you are perfectly aware, are very, and I would say more and more polarized on the issue of the use or not or of nuclear energy. However, the management of the back end of the nuclear cycle is one of those areas that deserves the highest level of attention, irrespectively of what you think about the use or not of nuclear energy, because it has to follow two main principles. That one is the highest safety levels that we are able to implement today on the one hand, and the second, to avoid any undue burdens on future generation. I'm quite proud to say that I believe that as we are here today, our European regulatory framework is still, as a regional binding system, the most advanced in the world. And I think that we need to build on this asset. And transparency, I think I've said it, how can I say? continuously for a number of years is one of the things that go very well together with safety. There is safety is accompanied by the critics of the people, and in order to have the critics of the people, you need to have an appropriate level of transparency of what are the facts and what are the decisions that you take in order to address the facts if there is something to be addressed. At the end of the summer this year, the Commission will start drafting the third report on the implementation of the Council Directive 2011-70. And at the same time, we are going to prepare the fourth report on the implementation of the Directive 2006-117, the so-called Shipment Directive. And I think that both reports create an additional opportunity to discuss and to put in value the transparency and societal participation elements that have to be associated with this. You are also aware that following the development and the rollout of the national programs in the member states, there is more and more attention to public involvement in the decision making, and there are high interest from stakeholders. I was just this morning having a conversation with my compatriots in Italy, that they finally launched the map of the possible sites where the national repository for nuclear waste in Italy is going to be cited, and this is a step that we have been waiting for at least the last 5 years. So I think that there is a dynamic which is there. We encourage the member states, but we've been also very active on the compliance side. We have altogether had 30 different infringements procedure on the Radioactive Waste Directive, especially on the completeness and of the national programs and their adherence to the requirements of Article 12 of the directive. At the same time, you know, there are a number of accompanying measures, like the activities in the waste group of ENG. There is the activities on the financing side of another group of member states experts, the decommissioning funding group, which, by the way, we are looking at the possibility of revamping and strengthening in their competencies, as well as discussions. I know that NTW has sometimes different approaches and views, but we also discussed nuclear waste in the context of NF in a number of occasions, and this is, I suppose, a theme that we will also need to take up in a different context. What the directive has also pushed is the implementation of international peer reviews of the national arrangements via the integrated review system of IRRS, or the dedicated modules that we have developed with the IAEA, which are called Artemis. Let me also stress that there are also important links to funding programs that the Commission manages, both on the decommissioning side, in the 3 countries that receive our assistance, namely Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Lithuania, as well as through the Euratom Research Program that I see is very well represented by our colleagues in this meeting, and a number of studies that are on key and specific topics that we have been putting together through the years. Both, let me say, what you mentioned, Nadja, on the transparency side, but also in a number of more technical matters, looking at the classification of waste, etc., etc. So I think that I will stop here. I see that the agenda is very rich, and we'll enter into all the needed details. So from my side, I wish you a very fruitful debate, and I'm looking forward to hearing the conclusions that you will draw from these 3 days of meeting. Thank you very much for having also invited me to participate in this open question session. Thank you.